Spoiler alert, Slashers Paradise encourages viewers to watch these horror films before listening to our show. Danny and Lance will go through everything, including filmmaking, dialogue, characters, and even full scene breakdowns when we get excited. Enjoy the show. Wait, that's the wrong song.
Are you doing my bit?
Yeah, well, I'm rebooting your bit.
Lance, rule number 1 with reboots. Don't fuck with the original. And they're making Jiffy Pop and the ladies in the bar.
Welcome to Slashers Paradise. That's Danny. I'm Lance. Today, we're rebooting Scream, kind of.
See, as is illustrated in the opening of our show here, there's just something that's off when you try to recreate the magic of an original. Would you agree, Lance?
Is this a remake, a reboot? What's the difference between a remake and a reboot, Danny?
A reboot means that you are going to start anew. Everything is starting anew, so you don't have to redo what the movie did.
Okay.
A remake is like you just intend on making the movie again with like a couple of different things here and there. So but you don't intend on like rebooting the franchise. You just want to remake a movie.
So what do we classify Scream 4 as? Yes.
Part 4. I will say that Scream 4 is part 4 in the Scream saga.
Yeah,
I mean, they take on the remake ideas and the rules of the remake, but it's still the saga. It's called Scream 4, so there.
All right. Well, I'm confused.
Me too.
It's 11 years since Scream 3 came out. We talked about Scream 3 in our last episode. Go check that one out. I thought it had a nice button on the characters that we've grown to love from 96 through 2000. I thought the story had ended. I thought it was nice. Put a little bow on it, put it under the tree, and let it sit. Whatever. It's 2011. It's time for a reboot, remake, sequel, whatever. And let's get into it. Let's do our slash word first. Danny.
Oh, well, I would love to jump back into that once we are done with our little housekeeping here, but rules is rules, and this is right. This franchise about the rules, and we have rules, Lillian. No, rules here, and we have for Slashers Paradise, we play a fun game called Slash Word, which is the horror version created by Slashers Paradise that is basically a password. If you hear the slash word said throughout the episode, take a drink of your beverage of choice. And we have been very lucky to have survived this long with keeping an open line of dialogue, or at least an open phone line with a certain caller who has given us the slash words throughout this franchise.
He keeps calling back. He just doesn't go away.
But that's his thing, right? He's just going to keep on calling because that's where he lives, pretty much on the phone.
Yeah. You know? So our caller for slash word is yet again Ghostface. So Ghostface, you're already on the line, obviously. Go ahead and give our listeners and viewers the slash word of the night.
The slash word is stab.
All right, thank you, and let's move on.
Man, I'm gonna miss him calling in. Maybe we'll have to retouch this series when the new one comes out.
I am sure we will hear from him again.
We have to talk about Scream 4. Yes, we are at the culmination of the released series of Scream, but we cannot talk about Scream 4 without saying that what's going on in 2022, January to be exact,
as of right now. Yes,
as of right now, the next installment in the Scream saga franchise will be released, just titled Scream.
Great.
But all the characters are back for it that have survived. But let's not jump too far ahead, right? We want to talk about Scream 4.
Oh man,
Scream 4, which to date was God, man, this was the. Maybe we should do the pumpkin spice then.
Let's do the pumpkin spice, Danny. Go ahead.
I don't want to get too sappy, but
Scream
I will.
4.
Scream 4's pumpkin spice latte, picking up. How many years?
11.
Picking up 11 years after we last saw our characters of Sidney Prescott and Gale Weathers and Dewey. We return to the town of Woodsboro that is celebrating its anniversary of the original Scream or Woodsboro murders. Living in Woodsboro is Dewey and his wife, Gail. Dewey, who is now the chief of police, and returning to Woodsboro to talk about and go on her very successful book tour is Sidney Prescott, who wrote a survivor of trauma book, very empowering book. And while she's in town in Woodsboro, not only is it an anniversary of the Stab movies and whatnot, we return to what happens in Woodsboro when Sidney is there. More murders, with someone donning the Ghostface mask and costume. And who is it this time? And of course, they are obviously targeting Sidney as well. Again, we're back. Scream 4.
We are back. Our breakdown. And this movie was released April 15th, 2011. Our budget was $40 million. Again, our box office was $97.1 million. So we are far off. That's almost half of what we made with 1, 2, and I think 3 was 140, one something in there, 160. So we're way off.
But it made some money.
It did make money. Of course, it's a success in that right. Technically, it is written by Kevin Williamson again. He had a falling out a little bit with Dimension at this point. So we have a lot of rewrites going into this one. Directed. This is our last Scream film, unfortunately, directed by the legend Wes Craven. The movie stars Neve Campbell, Courtney Cox, Emma Roberts, Hayden Panettiere, David Arquette, Rory Culkin, Allison Brie, Anna Paquin for a minute. And I'm just going to go with Marley Shelton because she's going to end up being important, I guess, eventually. So there's a few other stars in this, and we'll see if we get there. But
we'll see.
Danny, was this movie filmed on iPhone 4 or something?
Yeah, it was filmed with a Betamax.
Why are there filters all over the film? Like, I'm watching it and it seems like most of the characters are glowing and kind of blurry throughout it. There's a point where a bunch of, maybe that's the point of the movie, right? Is like we're filming like through the phone and through little mini cameras and all this kind of stuff. I don't know if that's the point of the cinematography on this, but it was so distracting because it looks blurry to me at certain points. There's even like the little black, I forget what it's called at the moment, but like the little black corners going around. There's blurred out areas. I don't understand it.
I think, right, if you are, if you don't evolve, you're doomed to outdate yourself or whatever. Nobody would have ever accused Wes Craven of being traditionalist. Mm-hmm. You know, he is an evolving filmmaker, and so maybe this was an attempt at that. Maybe it was an attempt at saying there is a tone we're going for. There is it's very much everything is online, everything's being streamed, everything's being filmed. You know, you're walking around with like supercomputers in our pockets that radiate radiation. But maybe that was it. I personally didn't notice it, and we might be a little bit more at ends with how we view this movie together, as far as like you don't like it and I do. So,
yeah.
But we got through Scream 3 without any. I think we've come a long way since Halloween 2018, which we took our licks in that one.
We're gonna go back to that probably pretty soon.
I'm
too.
sure. Yeah. But I think to answer your question, I think that's what it was, Lance.
I think
it was the point to make it glossy, to make it of the now, of the time. Maybe, but we have to also talk about the way it opened. The way this movie opens, okay, so from 1, 2, and 3, we know that it's going to open on a murder in the beginning, and then you get your title card. Yes?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And usually it is a big name. You got your Drew Barrymore, you got Jada Pinkett Smith and Omar Epps, and then you have Liev Schreiber, who, that was a cool one. Well, now you have... and I don't know the first two actors that you see. I don't know them by name, and maybe that's the point. So you feel like you're watching the new Scream movie, and they have a back and forth about a caller and yada yada yada, and it's fine. And it's like, oh my god, but he sent me a picture of himself. he's so hot, and they're like, it's a picture of Channing Tatum. So you're like, okay, well, what's going on here? And then they ignore all the rules. There's a knock at the door. If you notice that, they ignore all the rules. There's a knock at the door. They ask who's there. They do all the things you're not supposed to do, and they open the door, obviously, and then they both get killed. Well, what you see is that when they get killed, the title card comes out and says stab 5. Right, and then it turns off. A TV, it's zooming out from a TV, and the TV turns off. And who is on the couch? Kristen Bell,
yeah,
and Anna Paquin,
yeah,
who are like, ugh, it's just so stupid. And Anna Paquin's gonna be the Lance, and I'm gonna be Kristen Bell, I think, because I liked it. It's fine as far as Scream, and Anna Paquin did not. So like they're sitting on the couch and they're talking about like, it's the horror, blah blah blah. Oh, the characters are so smart in the movie, basically saying all the things that Anna Paquin's saying all the things that we like about Scream.
Yeah,
is stupid. Right.
Well, yeah. Now it's like outdated, right? It's been 15 years since the original at this point. So now it's outdated, and we've done nothing but reboots. And now we're talking about Saw movies that have come out in the 2000s. We're talking about a lot of Eli Roth kind of stuff.
Oh, sure.
The gore porn that's starting to come out and go mainstream. So now we got more to commentate about. Horror has kind of evolved and changed.
What was the year this one came out again?
2011.
2011. Okay. So yeah, very much so. We're there. There's some more spitting on myself. There's some more experimental horror being done by like people who like they're stepping out of their comfort zone. I guess I'm pretty much just talking about Rob Zombie at this point. But that so you're watching and you're like, okay, so Kristen Bell and Anna Paquin are gonna be in the movie. And Anna Paquin keeps on going off and off and off about like how she hates it. And then Kristen Bell just like stabs her in the stomach. She's like, you talk too much. Shut up and watch the movie. And she turns it on, the TV again. And then a title card comes up and it says stab 6. And then it's another pair duo sitting on a couch watching the movie, who is Amy Teagarden, from Friday Night Lights, and I don't know the other actor's name, but I mean, it's like, I love Friday Night Lights, so I know it's Julie Taylor, right? And they are watching, and then they are us at this point, because I'm like, what the fuck just happened?
Yeah.
So if you're watching Stab 6, in Stab 6, Stab 5, that's the only time Stab 5 exists?
What?
So like, okay, Stab 4 happened, okay? But in Stab 6, they're watching, it's a fake opening with Stab 5. So did Stab 5 even happen?
Well, there's time travel that was emitted into the Stab world.
Okay, so here's what I'm saying. If Stab 5 came out, right, the way you saw it, with the two girls getting cut.
Yes.
And Stab 6 stars Kristen Bell and Anna Paquin. If I'm watching Stab 6 for the first time, I'm like, wait, this is Stab 5. Why is Stab 5 starting? It's so stupid. I think that's the point. That's the point of the writing. It's like they did this on purpose because it's like there's so much that's like being convoluted this time in horror.
And I have my first issue with the movie is the first 3, you have these great openings with stars in Hollywood. And now you open up with first no name, or at least I don't know who they are. And then Anna Paquin. I'm like, okay, this is a little more Scream. I was just so confused by the time the movie opens. I'm like frustrated as a fan. I'm frustrated as a moviegoer. I'm like, okay, I'm already off to a bad start. I don't know what this is. I don't know what I'm watching. I
think it was a joke. It was intended to be a joke, but then Amy Teagarden and the other actors, they are in the Scream world. So they get, attacked by Ghostface, and, Amy Teagarden gets dead, and then the Scream 4 title marquee card finally appears. So we've seen a Stab 5 title card kill, a Stab 6 title card kill, and then that was all within them just watching a movie of a movie. And now we're off and running with Scream 4. So it's not complicated at all.
Wow. Your wolf.
Yeah, man.
Like I said, like Scream, the franchise has always made smart commentary that you loved, and you got to see a star die in the beginning or whatever it was, or a surprise. This was not it. So immediately I'm like, whoa, what?
But maybe if it's going by the remake rules and it's going by all those like, you know, the criteria, it would have to do something like this, like where you throw all this, because like then, well, we're just going to see another installment in the franchise where we're just going over the same formula, right? That's the idea, is that they're supposed to create something that is within the formula that you know about remakes, but taking a different take on it.
But that's my point, is the franchise has always done that, but done it smartly and to a point where it's so entertaining. Like, oh my God, that happened. This just fell apart for me. And I was like, no.
They could have just done one. They could have just done one moment where you think you're watching Scream, but it is Stab 6. And then, just cut out one. I think they just did it for effect, so that you could get those 2 stars in there to have that moment where Kristen Bell stabs Anna Paquin, and then that's what you did it for.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That's what you did it for. Anyway, but we're off and running, folks. A lot of great actors in this movie, and it's tough, man. It's tough because what?
No, go ahead.
I mean, look.
You're gonna have to run with this one because
that's fine.
I don't have much to say about
that's fine.
it.
Look, no, because like different strokes for different folks. Look, I like a lot about this movie. I do appreciate when someone like a Wes Craven, who at this point in time has like reinvented himself, reinvented franchises. Remember New Nightmare? Like that was his deal, and he's done Scream at this point. So it's like, yeah, like. Absolutely. I applaud your effort to make this new staple or this new installment. Some things are the same. Some things are different. Of course, like I would have never thought that Dewey and Gale would move back to Woodsboro personally, but they have. And Gale and Dewey are married in the movie, and in real life.
They just filed for divorce
at this point in time,
like a month before shooting or 2 months before shooting.
What pros, man? Like honestly,
that's what everyone says. They were extremely professional throughout. I mean, they didn't actually end up divorced for another year, but they were starting the process right then. There was an idea that they would have a baby, but they just thought it'd be way too hard to actually film with a baby. They just thought it'd be a liability and just too hard to do. So there was supposed to be that kind of on the line. You're right. I don't see them going. I see Dewey going back. I think Dewey's the only original character that progresses or moves the needle a little higher for what I expect from the character. I
thought he took a step back in 3, but I think this is a natural progression for his character.
Yeah. Where I don't see it for Gale, and I definitely don't see it for Sydney.
But we're Sydney, yes, I think that was a little bit of a miss. But for Gale, I do like it. I like the idea that she was like, "Oh, we're gonna get married, and we're gonna be a team together." Mm-hmm. And she's like, "And I'm Gale Weathers, author of the Woodsboro Murders. Like, I can write," and that's what they show her. Complete. I mean, depending on what type of writing circumstances you appreciate as a writer, she is in like the carbon copy or the carbon, like the stereotypical perfect writer's surroundings. She's got her her nice computer, and it's quiet. She's in a big house. It's airy. Like it's beautiful, and she can't do shit. She can't write because she's like,
that's how it goes.
I know. She's like, this is not me. This is not, and that is why I think this character was done well too, is because she's like, she knows, they knew her well enough to know that Gale has to be getting dirty. Mm-hmm. She has to be in the mix to thrive. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that makes sense. It just feels like she takes such a back seat. I don't know. For me, that's what it seemed like. She takes a back seat. Everyone kind of takes a back seat to Dewey doing his thing, in my opinion.
Yeah. I mean, but then again, maybe it's either Kevin Williamson or somebody who's like, I think everyone has got their, at one point or another in the franchise, had their shining moment movie. Yeah, this was definitely a Dewey shining moment.
Totally.
Because it's not, at this point, it's not a Sydney series.
No.
It's those 3 characters. I mean, you could throw in Randy there too, but those 3 characters, we have seen them in each installment. So it's like, yeah, that would make most sense that like at this point, we want to give a Dewey a shining moment sort of thing. Maybe.
Yeah, and I think for me is Randy is missing from this one, and they try to recapture Randy through 2 characters and like an entire film program at Woodsboro High, but it just doesn't capture Randy and recreating these rules and all that kind of stuff. So there is something missing with that. Also, the Red Right Hand song is not in here, and I'm really depressed by that.
You got to remake it, but at the same time, I don't think it's a remake. I think they use the rules of remake, but they don't actually go through with a full remake because the characters are still the same, and they are continuing. So, I think they tried to stick the landing. It was a big undertaking. I still like the movie. I still think it has wonderful moments. I think you could like trim one or two characters. But you got to up the ante, right? You got to make more possible, suspects. You almost have to make characters that are just there to be red herrings, blah, 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 so you have to almost like overdo it. And that's what remakes are, they are. I mean, think about all the remakes of like the recent, the Friday 13th, the Nightmare on Elm Street. Don't think about that one. The Halloween one, they like overdid it with blood and guts and gore and stuff. And this one was not too shabby as well. And the kills.
Yeah, I think the kills were fine. I just didn't connect to any of the new characters.
I did.
These high school kids, I don't connect to them, and maybe it's a generational thing at this point.
Oh man, you're turning into old man. Get off my lawn.
I think at this point, as a horror fan, 2011, I was probably getting critical. I was trying to be a filmmaker myself, so I was like, no, I'm not. I don't like the new stuff. I like the old stuff. But I'm watching it now as a fan of Ghostface and Scream, and I'm like, I still don't understand it. And actually, I'll go back on that because I'll talk about it in another episode, but the Scream TV series, actually, I like those characters better. I feel like that TV show did what Scream 4 was trying to do, but did it better. So, and it's expanded and different, and that's a whole different topic and conversation, but I just don't connect to the new characters here. And then even the old characters, I'm like, oh, what a bummer, especially for Sydney's character. It seems like she completely regressed. I don't understand her being a terrified, emotional character anymore after the events of Scream 2 and 3.
Well, let's look at that for a quick second. So she's on this book tour about being a survivor and a survivor of trauma. Whether you are being chased by a serial killer or, every other form that you can survive from.
Yeah.
So it would make sense that her character would want to be stronger. It's not Sydney that we're used to. It's a little bit more of a reluctant to feel helpless Sydney, So, but I do agree with you that she seems a little bit like if someone put the characters, basically this is what it is, in my opinion. They try to remake it with her, and you don't remake it with if you're going to remake a movie, you don't do it with the original characters. So they're trying to remake a movie whilst intertwining the original characters, because take Sydney out, take Dewey out, and take Gail out.
Yeah.
You have the Gail character replaced by the two film students, or the cinema kids. You have Sydney replaced by
her Emma Roberts.
Emma Roberts' character. And you have Tatum replaced by Hayden Panettiere. You have Billy Loomis replaced by blah. And you also have the other film kid replacing Randy and such. So they're all recast, but it was them trying to, I think they bit off more than they could chew, because you have never seen a remake try to be done with the original characters still in the movie. I don't think, right?
I don't think so. And this is something I just re-looked up because I had mentioned it in a previous in Scream 3. But with Wes Craven coming back and this original cast, this is one of the first, I think the only horror movies where the director and the cast came back for 4 films. So there is that. My thing is, like, you've always written Neve Campbell's character so strong, and there's a great progression from this innocent girl and the fallout that we talked about of Maureen Prescott and her life choices and trauma bleeding out into Sydney. But then now in Sydney's case, in this, like, she sees Ghostface again. She asks the same old questions. It's like, it just doesn't make sense to me. It's like we just restarted, like 1 through 3 never happened.
Well, yeah, technically they're trying to do that, but at the same, you also have to think about, she's a little older, she's a little bit more mature, And I don't know, personally, I've done this a lot. You ever had the fake arguments with you, or like fake scenarios? Like you're in the shower and you're having these like arguments. And you're like, yeah. And I'm, come up to me and this is what I would say. And it's like, oh, why couldn't I thought of that when I was like there, So like maybe subconsciously she's kind of thought about, if I do ever hear Ghostface calling me on the phone again, what would I say? Like, maybe I wasted too much time being like blah, blah, blah that I said when he would call. Maybe the next time he calls, if ever, I'll just cut to the chase, because
she doesn't in this one. She asks him, who is this? Who is this? Who is this? Like,
well, she didn't say who is this. She says, who are you?
Right. Okay.
I mean, that's a different question. Who is this? Who is this? That's a different question than who are you? And even
but she
then
says
she's like,
it with tears in her eyes,
because that's Nev, man. She's got the eyes, dude. They're still working, folks. They are. She is giving us all Nev action with the tears in her eyes. Trauma. She's still Nev, man, and she's still killing it. Courtney Cox is still killing it. There is a back and forth throughout the movie of the new ones coming up to the originals and trying to usurp themselves. And Courtney Cox, Gail blatantly gets in someone's face and is like, I still got it.
Yeah.
There are moments where it's not as audible as that moment, but they still happen throughout. As a matter of fact, that was what that line of the one rule of remix is you don't fuck with the original. That's from the ending of this movie. I think that's what it was made for. It was made to introduce Scream to a new audience while still keeping the originals like us, on board. I know they tried, and I think they did an okay job.
I don't.
Well,
there's a tone to the film that is familiar. I think the way it's filmed, but not the cinematography. Like sometimes it's so dark, and then sometimes and I'm not talking about the POV that we see a lot of. It's shot well. I think it adds tension. It's of the time, streaming, cameras alive, webcams, all this kind of stuff. We're adding the technology. We've now made technology a staple of the Scream franchise.
Right.
Doubled over.
It evolves with the movies.
Yeah.
As horror movies evolve, the technology has to evolve in each movie. Part one is about the phone calls, right? You're getting phone calls from random. So part two evolves in the sense of now we can see if there's, we can trace calls faster. There's more cell phones involved and caller ID. Part three, the technology of changing your voice to mimic anyone has now been introduced. And now we have a complete, you take that long of a gap, technology is ever changing and always super fast evolving.
Yeah.
We've got the idea that everything is eyes everywhere, right? There's actually nowhere to hide, right?
Mm-hmm.
A lot of live streaming.
We have social media now, Facebook.
You have an interesting thing about
so the first opening is about one of the girls being stalked by somebody through Facebook and kind of making a fake account. Well, that was actually the original concept for Scream 4, was that the killer was going to taunt people and go through Facebook to make his kills and kind of be Ghostface through Facebook. And then that got nixed, thank God. And so they put it in the beginning intro of Stab 5 or 6 or whatever.
You know what I heard for the for Scream 5? The concept was to have Ghostface on social media. He's just on there. He's got TikToks and he's dancing in his living room. The whole Ghostface.
Didn't we come up with this?
I'm just referencing you.
Oh my God.
Go on to Dead Candy's TikTok and see Ghostface cut a rug.
Wow. Way over my head.
Hey.
Jesus. Okay. Wow.
I'm Lance, I haven't said this in a long time, but I don't want to talk a bunch of shit.
Oh,
right?
There it is.
But I'd like to think that I have, at least you find the people that you follow on Twitter, certain people who write for horror magazines and whatnot, and they have their finger on the pulse about what are people, how are they when Halloween 3 had its resurgence and people were like, we accept it now, we love it now. Apparently I heard that Lords of Salem is on its way too, and I'm like, I'm not on that train.
Yeah.
Rob Zombie's Halloween 2. It's like a Rob Zombie theme. But now there is an ongoing ultra forever justice for Kirby from Scream 4.
I can get on board with that.
Hayden Panettiere portrays the character of Kirby phenomenally. It's water, folks. I swear. It's water that I'm drinking. She plays a character that kind of like evolves like right in front of your face. It's what a character should do in any movie, right? But she evolves right in front of your face to where you think she's like a part of the, you know, the pretty clique and, you know, the popular girls. And, you know, she plays that to a T. But it's then later revealed throughout the movie that she's actually a pretty accomplished movie buff herself. You know, she's into the horror stuff. She's, you know, she's not so full of herself that, and it's just like, I think what people fell in love with was Hayden Panettiere's like demeanor about the way she played Kirby. Very real, kind of always in on the joke. And, what's funny, and I think my favorite part of her character, you gotta pay homage to the original. So of course, what is it if not else? You're gonna get a call from Ghostface. He's gonna give you quiz questions. So he calls Kirby, who has been shown to know a lot about horror movies, and he starts quizzing her, and she starts killing it. And it's basically every horror nerd in the world having a moment of like, finally, one of us gets the call. Yeah. One of us got the call. Like, call us, Ghostface. We'll go like 10 questions deep before we have to ask for you to use it in a sentence or some shit, you know?
And I remember that was in the trailer. And the trailer actually got me like, oh, cool. Like they're paying homage to the first movie, because we even said it when Drew Barrymore says Halloween so innocently. And we're like, oh, you're on to it. Like you would say the same thing we would say. So I'm in. It was in the trailer. Unfortunately, this scene does not happen until much, much later, maybe into the third act almost. So it's like, yeah.
But also, I wouldn't have stumbled over that Friday the 13th question that...
Which one?
The original, that Drew Barrymore gets.
Oh, right. Yeah.
I would not have stumbled over that. But the thing was so funny is that, like, yes, the joke has been done that, you know, eventually it's going to catch up to you, Ghostface. It's going to catch up to you that you're going to run into somebody who knows their shit. So at one point he asks a question. It's like, what horror remake from the historic franchise? And she doesn't even let him finish the question. And she starts naming all these remakes: Halloween, Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street, Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And she goes on for a while. And I was like, oh yeah. Like she's like The Fog, and I'm like, The Fog did get remade, didn't it?
Yeah. My Bloody Valentine was in there, which is cool because the original editor from the trilogy of Scream had moved on to becoming a director and directed My Bloody Valentine, the remake.
That's awesome.
So
it's all connected. But there are rules in the remake, right? Everything that you think has to be reversed. So like if the original ending was supposed to take place or did take place in the original Scream, the original ending took place at the end at a party, right? Mm-hmm. So the movie's kind of, you know, leading to this eventual, you know, climax where you think it's going to be, oh, the killer's gonna, you know, go crazy at this party because there is a party, and it's a false ending, right? So it's like there are things that also, the two characters who run the cinema club.
Okay.
Lance, I didn't go to a prep school.
Okay.
But I'd like to think that my classmates and I in our high school were as smart as we needed to be at that point in our lives. Mm-hmm. Who the fuck are these kids talking to with their super eloquent and over the top analysis of, and I didn't meet anyone like that. Maybe I stayed in too small of a bubble, but do you feel like I'm like, these are 8-year film students in a Quentin Tarantino only school?
It's something you were touching on with Hayden, her character kind of being a nerd and the popular kid at the same time. This is a trend. These are the new high school kids, dude. They're huge nerds and movie buffs through their parents, probably, who are mostly our age, and just filtered all of their knowledge upon them
around here.
Yeah, and it's just like a 21 Jump Street, right? Like they go back to school, and now the fat ugly kid from high school is now the cool kid, and the jock is the asshole because bullying isn't allowed anymore. It's not cool, right? So everything is swapped and switched around. Kids are smarter these days.
The geek gets the girl.
Yeah, that's happening. That's the way our society has now flopped.
It's just seeing them. Okay, because like
I don't mean flopped. I mean flipped. It's a good thing.
If I was when we were in high school, I think the closest thing we had to it was like not even the AV club, like because like AV club was cool the way like Stranger Things kids are doing it. Like that's dope. I want to be in charge of the projector. Like that's awesome. I don't think we had it. We had media technology, but a cinema club that I would have been a part of. But they're also full of shit, these kids. Because they just got the, Johnny come lately set director to decorate their classroom where they have these cinema club discussions, and you see these posters, you're like, oh shit, the thing. And then they have Rob Zombie's Halloween 2 poster, and you're like,
but it's part of the remakes and part of the sequel remakes and all this other crap.
The Thing got remade too. Jeez.
Did you see there was a Wes Craven movie in there? People Under the Stairs.
Yeah. So we're at a situation where you have to be on your toes, learning as the movie progresses. You're like, that person's not going to die. No way. Well, spoiler, folks. Nobody dies that you thought was untouchable. Everyone that was untouchable is still untouchable. Although, like, Sydney gets pretty, like, she gets stabbed, like, really, like,
in the gut. I
mean, Gale takes a really bad stab as well. So, and of course, Dewey's always getting his ass kicked. Like,
but he didn't get stabbed. Is this the one movie he doesn't get stabbed in, and everyone else does?
He doesn't get stabbed, but he gets his bell rung with a freaking bedpan.
Yeah, like but bad. He didn't get stabbed officially. Finally, in one of these movies. Redeeming
moment. There are like, but even then, like, if I could say there's one thing about the movie that I did not like, I get star power, but don't make this movie. Oh, I've always wanted to be in a Scream movie. Can I get in there? Because the two cops of Anthony Anderson and Adam Brody just scream, hey, let me get into the new Scream movie. Yeah. I just felt like it could have been, I don't know. I never took it seriously. I never took those two guys. Adam Brody's fine, like, as far in this role. But,
yeah, never over the top. He's just kind of there. He's just like in the background. He was somebody of note back then. But yeah, and especially this death scene that you're getting to.
Yeah. Okay. So look, there. I do want to talk about a scene that I really do find interesting. It's a death scene where the two cops get attacked, and as far as like it always happens, two cops are assigned to look over Sydney, and someone just gets like they're not doing their job. Well, these cops were actually pretty active, like doing patrols, and you even hear. Every time you watch a horror movie and you see the killer, it's always that you get to see it and nobody else does. Or if they show you what the killer has done, you or if they never talk about the killer doing something that was out of the purview of the audience. Mm-hmm. So there's one time that Ghostface gets around the cops and they let a girl gets killed because they didn't catch him. And Dewey's checking in with them, the chief, and he's like, "Tell me what happened." And they're like, all right, we saw him and he was coming around here and I followed and I went over here to cut him off. And it was like, I've never heard anyone say like, all right, what happened? How did this person die or whatever? And it's like, okay, so I saw Michael Myers, right? And he was walking over there. So I followed him. But like they did. They saw Ghostface. And so it's like, oh, you guys were actually doing your job. That's new. And I appreciated that. It's a small little thing, but it's something that you never really get to see in horror movies. Think about every time that they saw Michael.
Right.
It was always like, did they really see him?
Yeah, or they shove it off like, oh, just kids playing pranks, right?
Yeah. In any case, the thing I'm talking about, they both end up getting very dead. Adam Brody gets stabbed in the back, dies immediately, like kerplumps to the floor. Yeah. Stabbed in the back. Mm-hmm. Anthony Anderson's character, who's named Anthony Perkins, just so you all know, make that connection.
It's psycho.
Gets stabbed in the forehead. In the forehead.
Weren't we just talking about this in Scream 2? Where
Did I say it?
If you get stabbed in the head, don't you just die immediately?
I personally was wondering, and you know what, folks, you may have answered it in the comments when we did, but maybe I didn't read it. The point is that I always thought that if you suffered severe brain trauma like that, it's an instant death. We've seen, so Omar Epps in part 2 gets stabbed in the side of the head, holds it a little bit, makes it one step and just falls. Anthony Anderson gets stabbed in the forehead, which that's tough.
Whew. Yeah.
Straight to the forehead and lots of blood. Opens the door, gets out of his car, holding his head. Takes a step, takes another step, takes a swing, falls to his knees, has a final line, which is "fuck Bruce Willis," and then falls down.
With no context. That's hilarious.
I mean,
they did have a conversation about this before, but yeah.
I just don't know that you stay alive that long, Lance. Is that I'm not a doctor.
Oh man. One thing that they say in this, Emma Roberts, I think, makes a kill later in the movie. And she goes, "Oh, it takes a lot longer than it looks like in the movies, right? When she stabs somebody and they don't die immediately." So, and there's a lot more blood. There's a lot more gore happening in this film than there was in Scream 3. So I guess it's supposed to be more realistic this way. I kind of mentioned there are brain injuries, brain penetrations where people survive completely, or, they have some brain damage, but they survive it.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing that like the way he was I don't know, my brain, I didn't take anatomy, but somehow maybe he got through the right section of brain.
Oh, yeah. So like went through a specific crevice.
Yeah. And then, so, I mean, you see him like, he can't see, he takes a swing in the air, like 10 feet away from Ghostface, and Ghostface is like, what the hell is happening? And that's another thing I want to talk about is Ghostface yet again has characteristic changes because it's new people playing Ghostface. Even on the phone, the voice sounds different. It sounds super angry and whispery at times.
But it's still Roger Clark, right?
Yeah, it's still the same voice, but it's just done so much differently. And I think that was a choice. I think that was because of...
Or maybe a direction, like, okay, we want to go for something different. You're a new Ghostface.
Excuse me, a choice by the director is what I meant. Yes, you're right. Yeah, totally. I don't think it was his choice so much, other than saying, like, these are two new characters, totally different, removed from the original trilogy and trying to be the same thing. So I appreciated it. It's a different take. Both Ghostface physically are very different than what we've seen before. They have like a childlike like curiosity to them, which we've kind of seen, but not like this. So it was cool. It was different.
Let's get to the nitty gritty, shall we?
We shall.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, slashers out there. It is going to be revealed in the coming seconds from my mouth who the killer are, because last time we left you guys in part 3, there's one killer.
Yeah, Roman,
the brother. Well, the family trope is alive and well because Sydney is back in Woodsboro to do her book tour. You can tell she's kind of uneasy about it. She doesn't really want to, but it's like sell, right? Alison Brie is her publicist, who's so cute and awesome, who dies really kind of ridiculously in a parking garage, but like Dewey's holding a press conference. We don't know too much about the killer. We don't want to comment on it. So it's like, and it's like they look up and here comes Alison Brie just like falling from the roof.
His reactions throughout this entire franchise have made me die laughing. That was the funniest one I've ever seen.
Yeah, it's great.
It's like Scream 3 when they go after the guy on the phone and he jumps over. He's like,
yeah, he's kind of like,
they tackle the dude. That's so funny.
Oh my gosh. So, it is going to be revealed right now that the family trope or the family connection is alive and well, because when I said that Sydney was back home in Woodsboro, she's staying with her aunt, who she has a cousin who's Emma Roberts is her cousin. And that's one of the killers. Spoiler, but she's not alone. She is, she has help, and it's Rory Culkin, the cinema club fanatic, who you're like, oh, that makes sense. Okay, here we go. Let's go on. Let's get inside the box.
Okay.
What do they say? She wants to be the new Sydney. He wants to be the new Randy. But the twist is now in this remake, the geek gets the girl, right? So
Yeah.
it shows that they're a little romantically leagued. Of course, the boyfriend is he's the fall guy. She's going to kill everybody, including she thinks that she killed Gail at this point because she stabbed her. But she's about to kill Sydney, and then she does this elaborate setup where everyone is dead, or she thinks, and is pulling using the boyfriend's hand to pull out her hair and going off all this stuff. It's it's a lot more intricate than all right, wipe down the knife, and put it there. Oh, it was him the whole time, right? Now it's no, I have to show that I went through trauma, because she wants that sympathetic feel. She wants to be the new Sydney. That's it. She wants what Sydney had, which was fame. Basically, it's again fame and fortune.
The scene drags out so much because she's already killed her partner by this point. She's taken the sole survivor route. That's the bigger twist. So now she's killed Sydney. She's killed her partner. She thinks everyone's pretty much dead at this point, and then she starts kicking her own ass.
I'm kicking my own ass. Do you mind?
So it's a bizarre thing because Ghostface is out the picture now. The costumes are gone, all the reveals are done. So now there's this really long scene of her kicking her own ass, throwing herself into the picture frames and then into a table. And it just was so long.
Was it the last 20, 25 minutes? There's no more Ghostface.
Yeah. I think
that might be understating it. I think it was a little bit longer because it's essentially the final third act is no more Ghostface.
And even the reveal was just so unclimactic, climactic. Okay.
I'm there with you.
They just kind of throw off their mask and here's our huge story, and then there's no more Ghostface. It just kind of killed it for me because then there's another ending. There's the ending and then the new ending.
Right, because it's set up. Sydney is face to face with her, and Sydney gets stabbed. And I, for one, in the audience, can tell you that I was like, "Oh shit, they're doing it! Oh shit! Oh shit, they're killing Nev." That was me. I said it, and you're led to believe that it happened. They take her to the hospital. I'm talking about Emma Roberts. Dewey is there. He's checking in on her. Well, it's revealed that Sydney ain't dead.
No.
She's kind of alive. So is Gail, in matter of fact. So, I don't want to keep on calling her Emma Roberts. What's her character's name?
Oh, let me see.
Anyway, she's like, oh, they're still alive, Dewey?
It's Jill.
Jill's like,
Roberts.
Jill Roberts. Great. Last name. Same. She's like, oh, they're still alive? Okay, I'll just stay here and rest a little bit. And Dewey's like, take care. He does this with his head a lot. He's almost trying to do a Clint Eastwood, but his own version, It's
his caring look.
Yeah. So he leaves her to get ready. She's like, screw this. She takes off all her heart monitors. And it's my favorite line in the entire Scream franchise.
What?
It's coming up. I'm about to set it up, folks. Slashers out there, get ready for this. Y'all ready for this? So she goes to Sydney's room. She sees that Sydney is coming to after being pretty viciously stabbed by her. And she says, why won't you die? Something like that. But this is the line is my favorite. She's like, who are you, Michael fucking Myers? Oh, I was in the audience at the movies when she said that. I was like, yes. Shh. Oh, sorry. She said Michael Myers. There's another indicator. I talked about this I don't know how many times. When somebody says his full name, man, it's something. It does something to me. It's you have to be able to say it right, though, right? Yeah. Hi, I'm Michael Myers.
That's not it.
No?
We're not testing right now, please.
But anyway, it continues, right? It continues the meta. They even make the Gail says meta to how meta would that be? Because she's on the trail and she says that to Dewey, and Dewey's like, meta? What the hell does that mean? She's like, I don't know. I heard one of these kids say it.
It's funny because you use that a lot.
You
are one of the kids.
We are one of the kids, but I'm not that. I am not that. They're talking about different, exposition and bullshit, and I'm I don't know that much about the rules of remakes. Maybe if I studied them, I guess that's why I should be in a damn cinema club.
This is who your kid is going to be. You realize that?
Oh,
Loomis Jr. is going to be
Loomis Jr.
He's going to be a film buff.
Loomis even says it. This movie's stupid. I hate it. Also, get out of my face. That's his thing. He likes to fight us all the time. So, yeah, she's like, no, you can't live. I'm having my moment. All the reporters are outside and they're ready to talk to the heroic survivor of the Woodsboro murder remake, right? They are even saying it. So she tries to kill Sydney, and Dewey figures out that she, had a slip of the tongue, and they're all there to try and stop her, but she kicks Dewey's ass badly with a bedpan. Kind of starts reopening Sydney's stitches.
Oh,
yeah.
dude, I've had surgery on my stomach, and I'm like, there's no way she's able to move at all. The fact that she has to go through that, you saw me actually grab my stomach. I was like, oh.
We finished the movie up a little while ago because I just wanted to kind of like see some moments, and when Jill is pushing on Sydney's wound to open it, Lance isn't making a noise throughout the entire time we're watching, and that part starts, and he's like,
dude. I've had surgery. I've been in that bed, and there's no way you're moving like that. Like, oh, it's the worst. It actually made me hurt so much.
Lance, it's anything to the nose. I've had nose surgery, deviated septum, and I've been laid up and stuff. And like when people mess with noses or like they break a nose or
it makes
it
you
always
cringe.
does it for me. Yes,
yeah.
Especially because they get the head of lettuce noise, the Foley noise. Anyway,
it's the thickest crunch you've ever heard.
Yeah, that's like all of the Mortal Kombat moves is that lettuce sound is just cracking.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So blah blah blah. You know what's gonna happen. They overcome the killer, which is Jill at this point.
Do you have any last words?
Oh, gotta talk. Yes. Come on, Lance, do it.
Dying laughing over this.
No, you loved it. He loved it.
I did not love it. I was laughing at it, not with it.
They're in a hospital, right?
My God.
Jill's got Gale dead to rights, and Gale's walking to her, doing her Gale thing where she can kind of bullshit and buy time. So she sees that Sydney has turned on the defibrillator and is getting ready to rock Jill's world. And Jill even asks Gale, any last words? Or no, she doesn't. Does she say any last words? Or does no? It's Gale. Gale says okay, but can I say something? Just okay, what you're gonna say, please, or something like that? No.
Closer.
She's getting closer, and she's waiting for the jewels to power up. I just want to say, clear. And Jill's like, clear, and boom, pops Sydney right behind her. Clear. Paddles to the ears, shocks her brain. She shocked the system.
Oh, man.
And of course, the killer is never dead. But
now she's supercharged. She's Jason Part 6.
It's a super shredder. But yeah, she's Jason X. She's been modified, right? But Sydney, of course, is the OG, knows that, they're never really dead. One failed attempt with glass to try and kill Sydney. Sydney's got the gun. Pop! Endo story.
Yeah.
The movie ends with a pull away looking at Jill's body while the news crews who are set up in front are, talking about the narrative that was going to be.
Yeah, she's the hero. So I thought that was an interesting take. We don't know the full story. We don't know the real story, but we're going to run with whatever we know at the moment.
Right, because
the first story is always the one that runs.
The news news wants a hero, right? You want a hero, and that's what.
Again, another real life commentary done by the Scream franchise, which I liked. I like that part.
That's what Jill said she was going to do different than Sydney. She's like, I'm going to run with this like you never did,
right?
Because she was the killer the whole time, so she wouldn't be. Because of course, Sydney didn't run with it because she lived in fear the rest of her life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so. There was that part with the clear kind of degraded the dialogue that was written in this. There's a part in the very beginning where Ghostface says I'm gonna cut your neck till I hit bone or something like that.
Yeah,
I didn't like that. I'm like,
what?
It doesn't flow. I think I said it better than they say it in the movie because it does not flow like I'm gonna cut you like a fish.
Right.
I'm gonna cut until I feel bone.
Well, let me see. I know, but he's like. If you hang up on me, I'm going to cut your neck until I feel bone. I think he really goes for the bone, but no.
Yeah, and I was like, okay, it's like a high school kid doing it. I get it. But then when he did the clear thing, I was like, no, it's just bad writing.
I think because Ghostface has some zingers of of insults and or like final or death warrants essentially.
Yeah, Wes Craven even said like I wanted that voice because it's intelligent, and he's always intelligent. The voice of
if you hang up on me, I'm gonna gut you like a fish. Understand?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was kind of missing from this, and his voice is a little bit different, which I liked. I like that different character trait, but I kind of missed it on the dialogue. So
they can't all be winners. Scream 4 is seen as not the best, obviously, in the franchise, but it is definitely considered not the worst.
I know. I understand. I don't agree, but I understand.
That's cool. But justice for if Stu Macher can survive a TV to the face, Kirby can survive a couple of stabs to the stomach.
Which, by the way, Matthew Lillard made another appearance.
He's in this movie again. He's an uncredited extra at the they have Stabathon, which that's where me and these kids do kind of meet. I love movie marathons. I will throw movie marathons. They're my favorite thing to do. And they have a drinking game. Where have I seen that before, Lance? A horror drinking game.
I think it's on Slasher's Paradise.
Mm-hmm.
The fun fact I wasn't even going to bring up, but it's one you're going to love.
Okay.
That is actually based on a reality on the movie The Town That Dreaded Sundown. They actually have a movie marathon in the town that the movie is based on. So
I believe it.
Every single year they run the movie for the town.
And in the remake of The Town That Dreaded Sundown, Anthony Anderson.
There we go. It's all connected.
It's all connected. Until I feel bone. No? What if it was like, until I feel bone? Yeah. No?
Again, I'm going to rewind and go back to the way I said it because I think it was better than,
I think so.
than the
I
movie.
think so.
Because you're like, oh, that sounded good. I'm like, no.
It sounded great.
Not in the movie.
Maybe not.
All right, Danny. How many stab sequels do you give this one?
I'm going to go ahead and give this one 4.
Wow. I'm not a big fan of it. Jerwolf.
It's gonna be in our first shirt, by the way.
Huh?
Our first shirt is gonna have Jerwolf.
Oh yeah, I've been building. I'm gonna give it a 2. Sorry.
That's okay. That's okay.
Maybe I'll revisit it again someday down the line and like it more. Maybe after Scream 5 hits. I don't know.
Right? Every new one that gets introduced, you're like, no. Wait, I'm confused. Did you say 2 and 3 are on the same on par together?
4. Yeah, I give them 4s.
Oh, interesting. Very interesting.
I like the trilogy. It had a bow and everything.
Very interesting. What we have here.
Yeah.
Well, Lance, we've come to the end of the Scream franchise.
We have for now.
Folks, slashers out there, we very much would like to thank you for going on this ride with us. We hope we did you Super Scream fans justice.
Absolutely.
And please let us know in the comments what you think about our rankings so far. If I had to rank them, Lance, I'd go 1, 2, 4, 3.
I go 1, 2, 3, 4.
Okay.
All right. We'll probably have a follow-up on Scream soon. So stay tuned. Until next time, that's Danny. I'm Lance, reminding you to
lock your doors,
bolt your windows,
and don't fuck with the original.
And join us next time in our Slasher's Paradise.
With the jiffy popping days, it's the red rock. Oh, I broke it.
Oh, no. Hey! Thank you everyone for watching Slasher's Paradise tonight. Please go down to the subscribe button right down here and click subscribe and make sure you turn on your notifications so that you know when we go live next time on YouTube. Danny.
And if you prefer an audio version, look us up on Apple Podcasts, find Slasher's Paradise, listen to us obviously, and leave a 5-star rate and review. If you don't know what to say, go ahead and put in a request of a movie you'd like for us to talk about. We'd love to hear what you think, guys.
Yes, please. And if you would love to see more of our beautiful faces, head to facebook.com/deadcandyfix. Dead Candy is the producer of Slasher's Paradise, and we will see you there, and we will see you next time. Here's to you guys.
This is Slasher's Paradise. Sorry, I had to work that in.
And I'm going to drink on that.